Hey guys, my name is Moon and welcome back for more Umineko When They Cry. So last episode, we started our Let's Play and we met a lot of characters, right? The Oshiromiya family, from Butler to George to Maria to Ava, Rudolph, a lot of them actually, right? But we haven't actually met all of them yet. I think there's gonna still be more, right? They showed some names last episode that for people we haven't seen yet. So let's see the other people today, or hopefully we see them. So let's continue.
Maria, もういい加減になさい。でも意外ね。バトラ君、てっきり怖いものなしだと思ってたから。
こいつ昔から乗り物がなぜかダメでさ。二言目には落ちるだの沈むだの。情けない男だなおめえは。
うるへえ。ありゃさすがに揺れすぎだろう。小型機乗るのは初めてだったからちょいと答えちまっただけだぜ。
あの大騒ぎでちょいとなの？バトラ君とは海外旅行を一緒に行くと賑やかそうね。おばさんとエジプトとか行かない？ 14 時間も飛行機に乗れるわよ。
Imagine that. 14 hours. Like this one was like 20 minutes ride, right? Plane ride 20 minutes?
いい提案ね。バトラ君、エヴァ姉さんに少し鍛えてもらいなさいよ。それにしてもおかしい。
こらこら、人間誰しも得て増えてはあるもんや。そない笑うたら悪いで。
But he's the one laughing right here.
父さんも笑うのは悪いよ。ほら、マリアちゃんももう笑っちゃダメ。
もう笑っちゃダメ
Damn it. Is being scared of planes really such a big deal? Everyone obviously thinks I'm a big oaf now. Wait, so I thought we landed on, what do you call it again? Island, right? We split up and took separate taxis from the airport to the harbor. Oh, okay, so they're gonna go to a harbor first. Okay. From there on, we would be taking the boat to the island. Okay, I thought it was straight to the island. That's why I was like, oh, you can get a plane to your private island easily. Okay, the islands are right next to each other, so the distance of the trip wasn't that great. By boat, it was a leisurely 30 minutes to the island. When we reached the pier, the boat to the island was anchored. We saw a figure waving at us. So I guess these are their people. Okay, so this is Jessica.
お久しぶりだぜ。
やあ、ジェシカちゃん、1年ぶりだね。
Jessica?
せ、また伸びたんじゃないかい？
よしてくれよ。毎年言われんのは恥ずかしいぜ。
おいおい兄貴、嘘だろ。こいつが本当にジェシカなのかよ。
ってことはジョージ兄さん、このデカブツバトラなのかよ。
We both stared at each other. So is Jessica older or younger than Butler? She definitely didn't look like that in my memories, but I do remember her crazy way of talking.
よー、ジェシカ。なんだよお前。
Dude, who is Butler's voice actor? I wanna know. I'll check later.
嘘だろ。なーに女みたいな格好してんだよ。なんだよこれ、胸かよ。お前にも胸なんかできたのかよ。もませろもませろーい。
Okay, so we got the classic perverted main character now.
ふざけやがれ。私は花も恥じらう18だぜ。
A blushing flower of 18.
髪だって伸びりゃ出るとこだって出るぜ。てめえに揉ませる胸なんざあるもんかい。バトラこそなんだよ、バカみてえに図体だけでかくなりやがって。知った腕力ついたのか。
ざけんじゃねえ。あれからどれだけ鍛錬積んだか思い知らせてやんぜ。
うぜえぜ、返り討ちだ。
This headstrong girl, or girl's name is... She was born under the same unlucky star as me, sharing the same kind of weird name. Anyway, that is pronounced Jessica. She's dad's older brother's daughter. Okay. The older brother happens to be the oldest son of the Shurimiya family, so for now it means Jessica is the direct family heir, I guess. Since Jessica and I are the same age, I sometimes had little boy-girl squabbles with each other. We've always been used to fighting and joking around together whenever the relatives gather. Jessica grew more quickly, so she always had me beat in terms of size and physical strength. When we scuffled in a contest of strength, it usually went Jessica's way. Did I love how their outfits, for example, they always have their crest, called the Ushiramiya crest. It may be tattoos or just the crest on their outfits, right? That's pretty cool. So even though I realized I'd grown bigger, part of my mind was still convinced that I couldn't beat Jessica.
なんだよ、何マジになってんだよ。いててて。
おいおいおい、全然力入れてねえぜ。ジェシカ、お前貧弱になっただろ。
うるせえぜ。こちとら女やってんだ。いつまでも腕力で男に勝てるわけねえだろ。
まあそりゃそうだよな。俺が腕につけた分の肉をお前は胸につけたんだもんな。俺の腕とお前の胸ならちょうどいい力比べになりそうじゃねえのか。
だからお前に揉ませる胸はねえ。それよりお前こそどうなんだよ。身長以外にも他のところちゃんと大人になったのか。
Oh my god.
バカやめろ。いやん、この野郎お嫁に行けなくなる。変なとこ触んないで。
Okay.
人様が聞いて誤解すること言うんじゃねえ。
Honestly, I was so surprised at how feminine Jessica had become that I had to joke around like that. Like an idiot, I mean, to hide it. Well, considering what a bossy brat she was 6 years ago, anyone would be surprised. And I guess she's just as surprised. She probably wasn't expecting to lose to me in a test of strength. After losing that easily, she must be shocked at how much I've grown in the past 6 years. 6 years! Once again, I'm being shown just what a huge gap of time that was.
やれやれ、乾杯だぜ。こりゃもう私じゃかなわねえな。
そんなことないよ。バトラ君にもきっと弱点はあるよ。ね、マリアちゃん。
落ちる落ちる。
バカよせマリア。それは内緒にしような。
落ちる？なんだそりゃ。
あいにくだがこの弱点はジェシカにはもうさらさないぜ。何しろ悪夢の空路はもう終わっちまったんだからな。あとはのんびりチャボチャボとお船の旅さ。あのオンボロ漁船がこれほど恋しくなるとは思わなかったぜ。
ああ、ジョージ兄さん、こいつ頭どうかしたのか。
すぐにわかるよ。すぐにね。
At the time, I didn't get what Aniki meant by that big smile.
これははあ、バトラさんも大きくなりまして。
Dude, the music in this game is... Well, how do I put this? Like, it's very good is what I'm saying. Like I enjoyed the Higurashi music. Yeah, it's kind of different, of course, compared to this one, but I like this one more. Who is what? Who's it this time? Okay, sorry. I was like, what? It's an old lady with an apron. Oh yeah, that takes me back. I remember now.
バトラ君、覚えてるかい？ほら、お手伝いの熊沢さんだよ。
熊沢のばあちゃんは忘れねえぜ。
Kumasawa Bachan.
何しろこの6年ちっとも老けちゃいねえぜ。むしろ若返ったんじゃねえの？
最近はお肌がピチピチしてきちゃって、ほら胸もますますに大きくなっちゃいましたんですよ。
Oh my god, can you stop with that?
飲んでみます？
What?
ご冗談。俺が揉みたいのはピチピチした姉ちゃんの胸限定だぜ。
私とて若い日にはそれはピチピチしておりましたよ。ほらほら、ぜひどうぞお揉みくださいませ。
ひょー、勘弁してくれよ。若い姉ちゃんだ、若い姉ちゃん。熊沢のばあちゃんじゃねえよ。
The jokes I'd cracked about Jessica were being turned against me. Come to think of it, Kumasawa has always been the type to tease people.
おいおいよせよ熊沢さん。監獄に半分足突っ込んだ人がはしゃいじゃいけねえぜ。
Dude, why are you saying that? What is wrong with you?
若い方とじゃれるのが何よりの若返りの薬ですよ。
Why did he even say that? People with one foot in the coffin? Come on, man. I mean, maybe I guess they're very close to each other, right? They see each other every year, I suppose. So that's why they joke a lot. Probably.
熊沢さんが迎えに来るなんて珍しいじゃない。どういう風の吹き回しかしら。用事を頼まれるといつも腰痛になるあなたが。
エヴァ様は相変わらず手厳しゅうございます。急なお買い物がありましたもので、そのついでに皆様のお迎えをしようと思いまして。もっともお迎え待ちの老いぼれのお迎えでは景気も悪いでしょうが。
Aunt Ava spoke sarcastically, but Kumasawa Bachan's years of experience were nothing to sneeze at. She was more than capable of smoothly and coolly deflecting that comment. Well, it feels bad to say it, but old Kumasawa Bachan may be past her prime as a servant. She might act as though she's in good health, but between the headaches and her lumbago, what is lumbago? Her body is wearing out. To tell the truth, the very fact that she's still working is impressive. How old is she this year again? She must be pushing 80 at least. I mean, if she's spent her life already, I guess, yeah, with your family, right? Just let her be here. You're very rich, right? You can pay for her salary until she goes. It's incredible that she's still able to act so cheerily.
ますますにお元気なようで。そうだこれ。前に話してたお茶です。ほら、買ってきました。後で飲んでみてください。
Yeah, basically what I'm saying is, she's family already, yeah. Aunt Rosa took a souvenir bag out from her suitcase. To think that she remembered a promise that she'd apparently made last year and faithfully bought it. This sort of thoughtfulness was just like Aunt Rosa. She wasn't the kind of person who would forget or break a promise. And I wonder, like, some of them, like, for example, are really, really good, right? At least first impressions when you look at it. For example, Aunt Rosa here. And then Uncle Hideyoshi, right? I wonder, as we go through the story, are they gonna be different? Right? We will see. We will see, right? Kumasawa Bachan seemed deeply touched, not only that Aunt Rosa had remembered this year-old promise, but that she would bring a gift to a simple servant like her. This woman is Kumasawa Chiyo-san. She's a senior servant who's been working at the Ushirimiya head family household for many years. As you'd expect from someone her age, manual labor isn't her strong point, but she's a kind super servant who can handle just about anything else, from kitchen work to cleaning and laundry. It seems like her only flaws is a tendency to slack off. I hear she tries to get away from heavy or troublesome work by playing up her chronic diseases. In Kumasawa-chan or Ba-chan's case, this was probably a sign of craftiness rather than laziness. Though it probably doesn't impress those paying her salary. Well, even if she's pretty flaky when it comes to work, I could never dislike her. I guess that's probably because of her cheerfulness and her constant smile.
いやー、相変わらずお元気そうで何よりでんな。あれから背中の具合はどないでっか？
薬を飲んでもちっとも良くなりませんで、こればかりはお医者様ではどうにもなりません。不治の病っちゅうもんですわ。
それにしてもジェシカちゃんはますます美人になったな。夏日姉さんに似てよかったぜ。
そうですか？私的には全然似てないつもりなんですけど。つうか親には似たくないです。尊敬してないんで。
こら、そんなこと言っちゃダメよ。それにしても親に似たくないって言ってる人が多いわね、うちの一族は。
あ、それ俺。
バカ言え。お前こそ俺に似るんじゃねえ。お前の鼻が似ててムカつくんだよ。
何言ってんのよ。呆れるくらいそっくりよ。あなたもお父様もね。
おいおい、そりゃねえだろ。俺のどこが親父に似てるってんだ？
傲慢で偉そうなところとかそっくりよ。あんたと兄さんは特にお父様の血が強いわね。ねえローザ。
ええ、まったく。クラウス兄さんもルドルフ兄さんも信じられないくらいお父様にそっくり。
おいおい、参ったな。なんで俺だけ女どもに集中放火なんだ？秀吉兄さん、助けてくださいよ。
いやいや、ルドルフ君はいっつも女性にモテてるな。羨ましいで。
Dude, her laugh, man. What? Her laugh.
相変わらずモテモテでお羨ましいことです。それでは皆様、お船の方へお乗りくださいませ。さあさあ、マリアさん、一緒にお船に乗りましょうね。
一緒にお船に乗る。みんなも一緒に乗る。
I didn't notice. Even Maria has her outfit with the crest there.
おや、もう今度は怖くないぜ。波で揺れるのは慣れてるしな。オンボロ漁船の場合、揺れて怖いってよりエンジンがぶっ壊れて漂流するんじゃねえかって方が怖いぜ。
そうだ、バトラ君、言うのを忘れてた。あの漁船はだいぶ老朽化してたんで、数年前に引退したんだよ。今は他の船が島まで運んでくれるんだ。
ああ、そっか。バトラは新しい船が初めてなんだな。快適だぜ。すっげえ速いんだ。何しろとんでもないスピードが出るんだからさ。
ほう。ってことは船旅の時間がさらに短縮されたわけか。そりゃ素晴らしい。何しろ飛行機よりマシとはいえ、沈没の危険にさらされる時間が少しでも短くなるってんだから、こりゃ極めて素晴らしいぜ。
おー、バトラーはまた落ちる。
そりゃ飛行機の時だけさ。もう大丈夫だぜ。
何しろ船長自慢の改造高速艇らしいぜ。だいぶいじってるらしく。 プロペラは高性能のが4機もついてて、最高速度は40ノットを超えるとかなんとか自慢してたな。いつも自慢されるんで覚えちまったぜ。
僕も毎年聞かされるんで覚えちゃったよ。船長は昔外国の漁船と速度比べをして負けて以来、スピード改造に取りつかれちゃったんだってさ。その時の相手は漁船なのに30ノット以上も出せたんだってね。
その雪辱の念が結実して、スカッと爽快な超高速改造艇の誕生となったわけさ。バトラもきっと気に入るぜ。
Super high speed modded boat? He's gonna fall again. My first thought was that this would be much better than some beat up boat that might sink at any moment. But for some reason I got this feeling of foreboding or foreboding. Probably just overthinking it. Okay. Honey. It's so fast now.
おいバトラー島までは泳いで行った方がいいんじゃねえか。
It is shaking so much.
バトラ君、柵からあんまり身を乗り出しちゃダメだよ。落ちちゃうから。
落ちる落ちる。
チェックしよう。さっきからみんながニヤニヤ笑ってたのはこれだったのか。
So this super high speed boat, did the captain start modding? Oh yes, that piece of junk fishing boat from 6 years ago doesn't hold a candle to this guy.
揺れる揺れる揺れる。落ちる落ちる落ちる。
落ちる落ちる落ちる。
落ちたら海じゃねえかよ。溺れちまうぞ。パラシュートだじゃねえぜ。浮き輪はどこだ。ライフジャケットをくれ。
なんだよバトラー、おめえそれ何の真似だよ。
ジェシカちゃんもマリアちゃんもいじめちゃ悪いって。バトラ君も怖いなら甲板に出なきゃいいのに。船内ならもう少し怖くないと思うけどな。
そいつはサンキューだぜ兄貴。海難事故の犠牲者はいつも船内なんだ。生存者を抱いて事故時は甲板なんだぜ。だから俺はここにいる。でも揺れる。落ちる。ふわふわ。
揺れる落ちる。
マリア、よしなさいったら。でもバトラ君、本当に苦手なのね。船長さんに速度を落とすように言ってきてあげるわ。
ローザおばさんありがとう。海の上でも安全運転徐行運転指差し確認。
ダメよローザ。
Dude, oh my god, my eyes, man. It was just shaking so
青
much.
年には試練も必要なんだから。ねえバトラ君、
Can we stop?
これくらいへっちゃらで克服できちゃうわよね。じゃないとおばさんとエジプトに行けないわよ。
うわー、エヴァおばさんの意地悪。あーダメ、落ちる。ライフジャケットパラシュート。いや、ひっくり返して考えるんだ。敵の狙いは何だ。俺をこうして怖がらせることか。そいつが狙いなら甘いぜ。ビビってなんかやるもんか。でもダメ、落ちる。
I was not looking that much at the screen because of the amount of shaking, man. I was getting dizzy there. So after I made a huge fool of myself for a while, Aunt Rosa had a talk with the boat captain and he slowed down to a more manageable speed for me. Dude, the voice actors, like for example, yeah, for Butler right here, imagine, yeah, he was doing that, right? Like, I guess that, yeah, he's probably super exhausted, right? The amount of emotion he put there is insane. And imagine how much they record, for example, in one day of voice lines. God damn. Apparently the max speed I can tolerate is extremely slow. But that just now was completely insane. The whole boat was shaking, sliding and leaping on the ocean's surface. It felt like I was riding on the back of a flying fish. Jessica was still gwaffing at me as I leaned against a railing, tired and disheartened.
さっきは力比べで負けたけどよ、もっと重要な部分で負けてなかったことが分かって私は嬉しいぜ。いやしかし
くっそー、好きなだけ笑えよ。いつか弱点を見つけ返しててめえの胸揉みつぶしてやるぜ。
見つけられたら考えてやるぜ。
バトラヘロヘロ。
ああ、バトラヘロヘロだ。海も空もごめんだぜ。俺は陸の上で死にたいさ。
Maria was patting my back, so I patted her head in return. Her expression was blank as usual, but I realized that she wanted to console me.
バトラ君、船長が罪滅ぼしにってドリンクをサービスしてくれたよ。飲んで一服しないかい？落ち着くよ。
George Aniki and Kumasawa Bachan brought us all ice-cold cans of soft drinks covered with beads of water. Judging from Kumasawa-san's big grin, our parents inside the boat were probably all rolling around laughing at my moment of pure terror. I'm so embarrassed, I can't bear to face any of them. If I didn't change the subject somehow, I had the feeling I'd be the butt of everyone's jokes for the whole trip. So I tried to think of something harmless to talk about.
ああ、ジェシカ。クラウスおじさんと夏日おばさんは元気なのかよ。
親父とおふくろ？残念ながら元気だぜ。二言目には勉強しろ勉強しろってうるせえけどよ。秀吉おじさんとかルドルフおじさんとかそういうこと言わなそうだから羨ましいぜ。
とんでもない。僕も受験を控えてた頃はいっつも受験受験って言われてたよ。うるさくも思ったけど今は感謝してるよ。
はあ、やっぱりジョージ兄貴は人間ができてるな。ちなみにうちは絶賛放任中だからな。なんにも言われないぜ。まあ言われたって聞かねえけどな。
ほう。バトラさんはまだご実家には戻られておられないのですか？
うん、まあちょくちょく戻るようには。まだ服とかだいぶ前の家に残してるんで。
おお？バトラ、お家が2つある？
まあな。
どうしてお家が2つ？おお。
Only Maria, who couldn't really grasp the situation, voiced this naive question. However, the others just shot nervous a glance at me, choosing not to respond even though they knew the answer.
Maria! ほら、船着き場が見えてきたぜ。ほら、あれ。見えるか？
つき場見えた、船着き場見えた。
Apparently Jessica was trying to be nice by changing the subject. Oh well. I'd rather not talk about it if I can help it, but it's uncomfortable to have it treated like some kind of weird taboo. I don't mind it that much myself anymore. I may be a member of the Ushirimiya family, but the truth is that for these last 6 years I've been living with my grandparents on my late mother's side, and I've been using her name or family name. When those grandparents passed away, one after the other, I basically had no choice but to go back and live with the old bastard. Don't get me wrong, I didn't just run away from home or anything like that. The only one at my fault here is my dad. I don't really blame Kirie-san. Being able to hold that old bastard's reins and ride him out is no mean feat. Still, the way that old bastard betrayed my mom? Well, unfortunately, I still haven't fully gotten over that.
もうすぐ着くね。
George Aniki cleared his throat, trying to change the subject.
失礼しました。年寄りが余計なことを言ってしまったようで。お気に障りましたら。
気にもしてないし触ってもないぜ。気にすんなよ、熊沢のばあちゃん。
Kumasawa-san seemed to regret speaking out of turn, but I was more concerned about being worried over for something like that, so I stood up and passed it off lightly. After that, I had a sip of my drink and headed over to Maria and Jessica, who were gazing at the silhouette of the island.
島が見えた、島が見えた。あれあれあれ。
どれどれ。おお、見えてきたな。6年ぶりでも記憶と寸分変わらない島影だぜ。
The small island silhouette in front of us had gotten pretty close. The island's name is Rokkenjima. It's a small island about 10 kilometers around, located in the Izu archipelago. Since they call this archipelago the Izu 7, lots of people think there are only 7 islands, but that's not true. There are actually several more, and Rokkenjima is one of the minor islands that don't get counted. Even if that weren't the case, I doubt you'd find many people who knew about the island. Only people connected to the Ushirimiya family ever go there. In other words, outsiders and tourists have never or have no reason to care about it. So you'll never find this island's name in a travel brochure. After all, all of Rokkenjima is an estate possessed by the Ushirimiya head family. Only the Ushirimiya family lives there, and only people connected to them come and go to from there. There's nothing there except a harbor and a mansion. The vast majority of the island is still just uncultivated forest. Such a waste when it could be made into a nice golf course or something. However, when you realize that the entire coastline is a private beach, it starts to sound pretty magnificent. You probably guessed by now, but to put simply, well, the Ushirimiya family is just rolling in dough. I mean, isn't it obvious? The head family apparently possesses a vast fortune, and Dad and the others who make up the branch families have built up plenty of wealth for themselves, finding success in their respective businesses. I've been living a commoner's life at my grandfather's home for this 6 years, so I'd completely forgotten. But the old bastard's house is really as elegant, and everything about it is tuned to match the snobbish taste of the annoying rich. Come to think of it, I guess that makes George Aniki-san, Jessica, Maria, and me wealthy, high-class gentlemen and ladies. Needless to say, none of us think of ourselves that way at all. I don't see myself as being rich, and George Aniki, who takes self-discipline very seriously, doesn't let himself get too comfortable. Jessica is always complaining that she'd rather move to the city than be rich. And Maria is still a kid who isn't even interested in money at all. Does that attitude really make us less snobbish? From the perspective of people in poverty who can't pay the bills, we really have been blessed with a lot. Yeah, so basically, you're not gonna worry anymore unless you literally throw away your money. This isn't the place to explain any further, so I won't. Okay. Anyway, it's the same as not being able to choose the parents you're born from. I didn't ask to be born into a rich family. And I don't think it's really something to be envied. Why? It can be pretty tiring when people are just prejudiced against you just because you're rich and refuse to judge you by your own merits. As I pondered these sentimental thoughts, Maria started shouting and I leaned over the railing. We calmed down a little bit there. After all the shaking right earlier, finally we calmed down. Gone? What do you mean gone?
どうしたんだよマリア。何か落としちゃったのか。
Maria kept yelling, "Gone, gone." At first, it sounded as though she had dropped something, but while she shouted, she also pointed out over the ocean.
どうしたの？何がないんだい？僕も探してあげるよ。何？
If she dropped something, she would probably have a look down at the floor, but Maria was pointing out over the ocean. One would assume by that gesture that she had spotted something, but she kept saying that something wasn't there. Strange. However, since my last memories of this place came from years ago, I was able to spot it before Aniki, who comes here every year.
あれ確かさ、この辺の小さい岩の上に鳥居みたいなのがなかったっけ？
Tori? Isn't a Tori like a Tori gate? Is that something like that?
そうだ、確かにあったぜ。島に近づいてくると最初に迎えてくれる目印みたいなもんだったからよく覚えてるぜ。
へえ、バトラすごいじゃねえか。6年ぶりなのによく覚えてるもんだぜ。
あったね。僕も思い出したよ。鎮守の社と鳥居みたいなものが岩の上にポツンと立ててあったよ。そういえばないね。去年は確かにあったと思う。
大方波か何かでさらわれちまったんだろ。小さい岩だったしな。だいぶ風化で脆くなってたんだろうさ。
私もそうだと思ってるんだけどよ。なくなっちゃったのはこの夏のことなんだよ。なんでもよ、
ある晩に大きな稲妻が落ちてお社を砕いてしまったんだとか。鎮守様に落雷があるなど、これは不吉の兆しに違いないと漁民たちはささやいておりますね。くわばらくわばら。
Kumasao-san smiled impishly as if treating us, rubbing her hands together while intoning a Japanese phrase meant to ward off lightning. However, Maria apparently took this seriously and started fixedly over the ocean to where the crag housing the shrine god was supposed to be.
不吉の兆し。
よせよ熊沢さん。マリアはそういう冗談の通じない年頃なんだからさ。
大丈夫だよ、マリアちゃん。偶然だよ。何も怖いことなんか起きないよ。
George Aniki put a hand on Maria's shoulder to calm her down, but Maria's sharp eye expression didn't waver.
不吉。不吉。
Maria muttered that word over and over. Apparently repeating a single word over and over is a habit that Maria has had for a long time. However, since the word she was saying was literally an ill omen, it was a bit creepy. She's gonna be the scary character here in this game.
おいおいマリア、
Look, there's no sound anymore, just wind.
そんなに何度も繰り返してたら本当に不吉がやってきちまうぜ。
I tapped Maria's other shoulder. Maria whipped her head around and stared into my face and spoke unblinkingly. Blinkingly, I mean.
ふう
Hour of darkness.
不吉来る
Come on, man. Why is it always the little kid who has got to be the creepy ones?
来るってどこからさ？
I answered light-heartedly, trying to break the tension in the air. At the moment, Maria held her finger, raised her arm high, and pointed up to the heavens. When I looked up, I saw that the sky was still just as cloudy, but it had grown a great deal more leaden than it had been that morning. That's right, they were saying that a typhoon was approaching. We had planned to spend one night on the island, but if this storm doesn't pass quickly, I won't be able to make it to the school on Monday. Well, I guess it makes for a pretty good excuse to be absent.
ふう
She apparently sensed some kind of misfortune in this cloudy sky. She's been muttering that non-stop for a while now. Girls at Maria's age tend to be very impressionable. She's just about the age that many girls start to get excited about sixth senses and whether they have any psychic potential and stuff. For all we know, this might be due to her childish, sensitive nature.
大丈夫だよマリアちゃん。天気は今夜くらいには崩れるかもしれないけど、明日には良くなって綺麗な青空になってるよ。
綺麗な青空
そう、明日になれば綺麗な青空になるよ。止まない雨はないし、晴れない雲だってない。
止まない雨晴れない雲
確かに台風が近づいてるけどよ、すぐに過ぎちまうって。大丈夫さマリア。
Maria started yelling. Ugh. It looked as though she was having a tantrum because no one could understand what she was trying to say. What in the world is Maria trying so desperately to warn us about? Unable to understand her, we couldn't help but feel a vague sense of misfortune. I've heard that everyone can feel the supernatural, but that it weakens as you age. That might mean that Maria, the youngest one of us all, is still possessed some kind of sense that the rest of us had lost. I wonder if that sense is sending her a warning. At that moment, Kumasawa-san quietly opened her mouth.
なんでもロッケン島はその昔。
熊沢さん、その話はなしにしようぜ。
Just as Kumasawa-san was about to tell some kind of story, Jessica sharply interrupted her. Jessica's tone was extremely firm for her. I wanted to push her further, just out of simple curiosity. But judging by the look on Jessica's face, whatever Kumasawa Bachan was like to say would probably make Maria even more uneasy. If I did try to press her for the story, the odds were pretty good that it wouldn't be anything bright and cheery.
それは申し訳ございませんね。ここの風は年寄りには応えますんで、ちょっと失礼させていただきます。
Gossipers have no reason to hang around after they've been told to stop chatting. When Kumasawa-san finally realized that she'd overstepped her bounds, she went back inside the boat. Finally, happy music. After she left, Uncle Hideyoshi showed up in her place. Since he'd arrived in mid-conversation, he completely failed to notice the complicated atmosphere that hung about the scene. So he refreshingly and unwittingly swept that atmosphere aside. So in the end, it was his lack of tact that brightened the mood.
もう到着だそうやないか。おお、もうちょいやの。今日はのんびりスピードだから時間がかかってもうたわ。誰のせいやねん。
うわ、秀吉おじさんもう勘弁してくださいよ。
もっと言ってやってください。
But I guess, for example, for Hideyoshi here, he doesn't have the crest of Oshiromiya. Does he have it in his outfit? Maybe at the back? We'll see later.
バトラのせいで時間かかりすぎだぜ。
But yeah, his name is Oshiromiya though. He took the name of his wife, right? Maria probably thought that everyone was refusing to listen to her. She hung her head, wearing a fretful expression. As she did, George Aniki crouched down to meet her eyes and spoke to her kindly.
マリアちゃん、何も怖くないよ。だって僕たちが一緒だもの。一緒だと何も怖くないんだよ。言ってごらん。
一緒だと何も怖くない。
うん。一緒だと何も怖くない。
そうさ、ジョージの兄貴の言う通りだぜ。俺たちが一緒にいるといつだって何だって絶対に怖くねえんだな、ジェシカ。
ああ、間違いないぜ。ジョージ兄さんの言うことはいつも本当だよ、マリア。
ジョージお兄ちゃんはいつも本当。
うん。僕は嘘をつかないよ。だから信じて。みんなと一緒にいれば何も怖くないんだよ。
ジョージお兄ちゃんは嘘をつかない。信じる。みんなと一緒にいれば怖くない。怖くない。
Maria jumped into George Aniki's arms and hugged him tightly. After Aniki patted her head, she jumped away again. Her facial expression had undergone a 180 degrees change, turning back to normal. She was once again the ordinary Maria.
みんなと一緒だからもう怖くない。
ああ、そうだぜ。もう平気みたいだな。マリアは強いな。偉いぜ。
マリア偉い。
なんや、どうしたんや。マリアちゃん、船酔いだったんか。ん？
まあそんなとこです。もうじき着きますね。
The harbor was already drawing near. We're here. Yes. So is that like chapter 1? Chapter 1 of episode 1, I guess. Okay, we got it. The boat gave a big shudder. Was that a helicopter? Seems we've docked at the harbor. The boat driver came out and jumped to the pier with the mooring rope. A large man in a tuxedo was waiting there for us with a warm smile. I didn't recognize his face, but judging by his clothes, I guess he was a servant of the Oshirimiya head household.
お嬢様、お帰りなさいませ。
Yoda Toshiro.
だいぶ遅かったので心配しておりました。
Wait, is this the same guy from last time? Is this the same guy or a different one? No, the one with Kinzo. Is it the same one? I think that was a much more older guy, right?
心配ありがとう。バトラのやつが怖がっちゃってよ。それで徐行運転だったってわけ。マジでうぜえぜ。
うるせえ。いつか逆の立場になったら覚えてろ。
At this rate, a word will spread to the whole family and I'll be the big conversation piece during dinner. Even without this, everyone would be talking about me because of that 6-year gap, but now I've given them an even juicier topic. Why does the Oshirimiya head family have to live on this isolated island? In the meantime, the boat had finished its mooring. A small plank was lowered so that we could get down. One by one, our parents came up from inside the boat.
皆様、長旅お疲れ様でした。奥様、お手をどうぞ。
ありがとう。お久しぶりね。ゴーダさんもお元気？
ありがとうございます。おかげさまで毎日元気にお勤めをさせていただいております。
バトラ君はゴーダさんとは初対面じゃない？確か6年前はお勤めじゃなかったですよね。
はい。ですので、バトラ様とは初めてご挨拶させていただきます。はじめまして、バトラ様。
俺もタッパには多少の自信があったんだが、でっけえ人だな。紛れもなく初対面だぜ。こんな大男あったら絶対忘れないさ。どうも、はじめまして。バトラっす。
お待ち申し上げておりました。一昨年から後ろ宮本家にお仕えさせていただいております使用人のゴーダと申します。
Since the year before first.
どうぞよろしくお願いいたします。何かご用命がございましたらいつでもお申し付けください。
ゴーダさん、お久しぶりです。
ジョージ様、ご無沙汰をいたしております。お手をどうぞ。
あんた相変わらず大した接客のプロや。もし食に困ったらいつでもわしに声をかけるんやで。いつでも雇ったろ。
これは身に余る光栄です。どうぞお手を、秀吉様。
Goda-san then lent a hand to everyone as they disembarked, greeting them as they passed by. His speech and mannerisms had the refined polish of a professional. He was very graceful in contrast with his initially tough-looking appearance. His large size made him seem a bit scary at first, but he was much more polite than my first impression had led me to believe. He claimed to have served on the island for 2 years, but he had doubtless worked at similar jobs somewhere before. After everybody disembarked, the mooring rope was untied and the boat started to steer away from the harbor. It was probably returning to its home port on Nijima. The captain waved his hand in farewell. Maria conscientiously waved her hand back.
なんだかさっきから違和感があると思ったら、あれだな。海猫の声を聞いてないぜ。
海猫？
Umineko?
鳥のか？
If I remember correctly, whenever we came to this island in the past, the seagulls always greeted us with their lively nya nya cries. Didn't Rika in Higurashi sometimes say nya nya, right? Because of that, whenever I hear the cries of seagulls anywhere else, I get the feeling that I am coming to a family conference. Except for the small part of the island where those of the Oshiromiya head family live, Rokkenjima has been left uncultivated, which apparently makes it a paradise for wild birds. Supposedly there's a cliff somewhere that houses a huge seagull colony, so this island was full of seagulls. A huge seagull colony? Not even having those seagulls here to greet us made me feel a bit lonely. Dude, if I seen a lot of birds like that, I would run away. I don't like birds. It's not that I don't like birds, but like when they what do you call this? When they go to you, especially like seagulls, man, right? And they try to attack you. I don't want that.
バトラ君。
ああ、ローザおばさん。いやー、別に。海猫の声が聞こえないんで、なんか寂しいなーって。
あら、そういえばそうね。いっつも賑やかなのに、今日はさっぱりいないわね。
どうして海猫いない？
海猫たちも今日はよそで集まりがあるからかな。マリアも海猫見たかったの？
見たかった。
なんだってこうもまるっきりいねえんだ。ジェシカがみんな焼き鳥にして食っちまったんかな。
物騒なこと言うんじゃねえ。マリアが勘違いするだろ。
ジェシカお姉ちゃんが焼き鳥にした。
してないそんなの私がするわけねえだろ。
そうだそうだ、ジェシカが焼き鳥にしたんだ。
焼き鳥？
皮につくねにレバーにネギマン、
泡にくつねり、レバーにネギマン。
As I made fun of Jessica, Maria tagged along, looking like she was having fun. I never guessed she was such a good sport. Alrighty then, from today on, I'll make you my #1 follower. As I smiled at her, she beamed, looking overjoyed, possibly because she was happy about this little connection we'd made with each other.
違うよ、マリアちゃん。野鳥って天気や気圧の変化に敏感なんだそうだよ。今夜あたり天気が崩れそうだしね。末早めに引き上げてるのかもしれないね。
焼き鳥じゃない？ジェシカお姉ちゃんが焼き鳥にしたんじゃない？
違う。私はそんなことしないって。ほら、バトラも嘘だったって認めろよ。
バトラ君、マリアちゃんは素直な子だから、そういう冗談でも真に受けちゃうんだよ。冗談も少し選んだ方がいいよ。
George Aniki gently scolded me. Even though I outstripped Aniki in height, Aniki was Aniki, of course. There was no choice but to obediently apologize.
おう、マリア、今のは冗談だ。海猫たちは今日は素でおとなしくしてるってさ。
バトラは嘘？ジョージお兄ちゃんは本当？
Had she actually been tricked, despite all that fun she was having? Her pure eyes made me feel guilty. Maybe I went a little overboard with her after all.
ああ、そうだそうだ。ジョージ兄貴が言ったのが本当だ。天気が悪いんで今日は引き上げたんだろうよ。いなくなったわけじゃないんだぜ。ね、おばさん。
そうよ。明日以降天気が良くなったらきっと戻ってきてミャーミャーと声を聞かせてくれるわ。
天気良くなって戻ってくるの待つ。明日まで待つ。天気良くなるまで待つ。
Maria was in a lighter mood and was looking forward to tomorrow when the seagulls would come back and feel the skies. Still, George Aniki really was amazing at taking care of kids. I think I remember Aniki taking good care of me as well when I was a brat 6 years ago. Aniki, that's probably your gift.
ジョージ君は小さい子の面倒を見るのがうまいわね。保育士さんでも務められるんじゃない？
なあ、ジョージ兄さんの転職っぽいぜ。私的には社長室でビジネスってよりそっちの方が兄さんのイメージだぜ。
まさか。保育士さんは立派なお仕事だよ。単なる子供好き程度に務まる仕事じゃないね。
本当にジョージ君は謙虚ね。でもバトラ君も子供のあやし方が上手よ。さっきはほんの少しの間だけどマリアとっても楽しそうだった。これからも今みたいに遊んであげてね。冗談は選んでだけどね。
Aunt Rosa winked at me, giggling a little. She's a real mother. I thought to myself, who's happy to see Maria having fun.
おいローザ、それにガキどもも何やってんだ。行くぞ。
はいはい、今行きます。
The old bastard was waving for us to hurry up. Yeah, we need to get moving. We might as well have this conversation after setting our luggage down in our rooms.
それでは皆様、お泊まりのゲストハウスの方へご案内させていただきます。どうぞこちらへ。
Gora-san called to everyone and led the way. Kumasawa-san brought up the rear. A serpentine, twisting path led through a dim forest. It ran a bit uphill. I'd guess the path was made all twisty so the slope wouldn't seem too steep. Personally, I'd have been happier if they had the guts to make some stairs in a straight line. No doubt they made the path twist on purpose to put on airs of distance and importance. Before long, we saw a garden-style stone steps. And from here on, I do have some memories. Go up these and the mansion is right there. At the top of the stone steps, we saw a beautiful guest house. Hope. Its facade was lovely, of course, but more importantly, we couldn't enter its doors without having our hearts stolen away by the splendor of the beautiful rose garden spreading before it.
はあ、今年も相変わらず大したもんや。目の保養とはこのことやで。
After climbing the stone steps, the people greeted by this rose garden gave voice to their impressions one by one.
今年は少し花に元気がないんじゃない？やっぱり夏があまり暑くなかったせいかしら。
そのせいもあるかと思います。去年の先に比べると今年は少々実を取るのが残念です。
Even so, it was a delightful rose garden. I remember that even 6 years ago, huge numbers of roses had greeted us every year. This rose garden was the first thing that greeted the people who came to Rokkenjima. Even our parents, who came every year, couldn't help but give voice to their admiration. In fact, it seemed to have undergone a power-up from the garden in my memories 6 years ago.
いつ見てもすごいわね。自宅にこれだけのバラ園があったらさぞや素敵でしょうに。
よせよ、誰が手入れすんだよ。バラは虫とか病気とか大変なんだぜ。
そうね。 キリエ姉さんは毎日バラの手入れをしてて虫がつかないようにしてるそうよ。
え？そうなのかよ。そんな話は知らないぜ。
そうなんです。この人の場合はバラの方から虫を求めていっちゃうから、どっちかというとたちの悪い食虫植物ってところね。
ああ、そういう話かよ。たく、ローザ、今日はそういう話は勘弁してくれよ。もうそういうのはすっかり足を洗ったんだぜ。
どうかしら。ルドルフ兄さんは遺伝子的レベルでだらしないですし。
大丈夫よローザさん。あんまりおいたするバラなら根元からちょんって切っちゃうから。
物騒なお話ですね。
モテる男はいつもリスクと隣り合わせなんや。わしも来世じゃもうちょい美形に生まれたいもんやで。
だから秀吉兄さん、モテてなんかないって。キリエも物騒な話なんかやめろい。俺のバラがしおれちまったじゃねえか。
ほら、マリアちゃん、来てごらん。こっちのバラは特に立派だよ。
バラが立派。
かぐわしい匂いだぜ。俺のエレガントさにぴったりだな。
おいよせよ。マリアが真似してトゲで怪我するだろ。
She yelled at me as I leaned in to smell the rose's scent with an exaggerated gesture. I thought she was overreacting, but when I turned around, I saw Maria imitating my every gesture and George Aniki smiling broadly at us.
ほら、マリアちゃん、気をつけて。バラのトゲは痛いよ。
ほう。ジョージお兄ちゃん、このバラだけ変。
変？どうしたんだよ。
Maria pointed at a single cross, or rose, I mean, I was like cross. Rose, I immediately understood why she found it odd. In the midst of all these magnificent roses, one single rose was just starting to wilt. There wasn't any particular reason. Some roses flourish and others wilt. That's all there was to it, but Maria seemed concerned about the only unhealthy one in the group. It must have made her feel lonely.
このバラだけ元気がなくて、
ほう。他はみんな元気なのに、これだけかわいそう。
まあ、咲いたり枯れたりはそれぞれだからな。一足先にしおれる代わりに、そのバラは他のどのバラよりも早く開花できたんだと思うぜ。
そうだよな。いっぱい咲いて、その役目を終えてお休みに入ったってだけのことだと思うぜ。そんなに気に病むことはねえさ。
ほう。
It seemed that Maria's pure, sensitive nature was making her feel some emotional pain for the rose that wilted alone. Even though she understood the logic of it, it felt lonely to her.
じゃあマリアちゃん、帰るまでの間、このバラをお世話してあげるといいよ。
ほう。
George Aniki straightened up and felt around in his pocket. He then took out the wrapper from the candy he had been sucking on the plane. He twisted it into a thin string, then gently tied it to a rose as sort of a marker.
へえ、なんだか可愛くなったね。
これがこのバラの目印だよ。後でお水とかをあげに来てごらん。バラさんもきっと喜ぶと思うよ。
お水とかをあげに来る。
せっかくだからこのバラさんに何か名前をつけてあげるといいよ。そうすると バラさんも喜ぶと思うし、マリアちゃんと心もきっと通い合うと思うよ。
名前
Though she still wore her sullen face, Maria crossed her arms and began to consider this intently. At the very least, she appeared to have been completely pulled out of her slump. Nice going, Aniki. I mean, George is really
ジョー
good.
ジ兄さんって昔っから包容力があるよな。尊敬するぜ。
だな。人徳ってやつだろ。後で爪の赤をもらってきてやるから一緒に飲もうぜ。
この庭園はお前が子供の頃にもこんなに立派だったんか？
私が出てってからよ、こんなに立派になったのは。前の庭園の方が素朴で愛着があったんだけどね。兄さんがちょっと悪趣味にいじりすぎたのよ。前の方がずっと良かったんだから。
エヴァ、ポジティブシンキングやで。昔は置いといて今のこの美しさをめでなあかん。その方が心が安らかになるで。
別にそんな意味じゃん。ただ私は昔の方が素敵だった庭園をあなたにも見てほしかったなってだけよ。
それでは皆様よろしいでしょうか。そろそろお部屋の方にご案内いたします。
Goda-san called to everyone to ask if we were ready. But our hearts had been completely stolen away by the rose garden that none of us had seen for a year, so we didn't pay much attention to him. Since we were in a travel group, it wasn't like we had a strict schedule to follow. Besides, since our parents were visiting their old home full of nostalgia, it wasn't like they had to let themselves be urged on by anyone or anything. Understanding the situation, Goda-san continued to wait, smiling wildly, until our parents got tired of the roses and told him to guide us to our rooms. That was a nice scene.
Well, おーい、カノン君やないか。
Kanon-kun. Okay, so we're gonna see
久しぶりや
Kanon-kun.
な。元気か？
Uncle Hideyoshi suddenly shouted. Kanon-kun, in the direction he was waving, was a slender boy. Meeting him right after a huge man like Goda probably emphasized his small stature. The boy was in the middle of transporting piled up gardening tools and the like in a wheelbarrow. When he realized he was being called to stop, he set down the wheelbarrow, took his hat off and bowed his head.
Konnichiwa.
I figured he was probably younger than me, and I realized by the general atmosphere surrounding him that he was another servant. He greeted us in a response to Uncle Hideyoshi's call, but he seemed like he might be pretty unsociable most of the time. It was a greeting that lacked feeling. When Goda-san noticed that our interests had shifted towards him, he went to the boy's side and introduced him to us.
バトラ様、ご紹介いたします。後宮本家にお仕えしております使用人の一人です。カノンさん、お客様にご挨拶を。
はじめまして。使用人のカノンです。
Yep, my first impression wasn't wrong. He seemed to be unsociable, or at least not so good at talking. Compared to Goda-san, who was extraordinarily polished as a servant, you couldn't help but feel an inexperience typical of his age. When Goda-san urged him to, in a whisper, to give a bit more of an introduction, the boy Kanon, or the boy named Kanon, only cast his eyes downwards.
カノンさん、もう少し何か挨拶することはできませんか？
いえ。僕たちは家具ですから。
He didn't seem to be refusing to greet us out of spite. Rather, he seemed to have fallen silent because he didn't know what else to say to us in a greeting.
余計なおしゃべりはしない性分なんだよ。愛想は少し悪いけど根はいい人なんだぜ。
Wait, did Jessica like Canon-kun?
誤解しないで。
Yeah, you can see that she likes him.
ここに勤めて3年になるんだっけ。確か郷田さんより1年長いんだよな、カノン君。
Even though he wasn't exactly giving a terrible first impression, Jessica hurriedly backed him up. I see, apparently his unsociable nature causes him a lot of trouble.
そっか、よろしくな。俺はバトラ、18だけど、君はいくつだい？
What is wrong with him? He fell silent as though wondering whether or not it was a question he'd have to answer. But here again, Jessica plowed ahead.
確か私たちの2つ下だから16だったよな。
はい、そうです。
It looked like he would preferred not to tell us his age if given the choice. That was probably because he thought we'd look down on him for it. I remember that when I was around his age, I hated being asked how old I was by adults. I mean, he's a teenager. Yeah, I see. 16, huh? That's gotta be a delicate time. Which means I probably asked something I shouldn't have.
近いとして嬉しいぜ。気さくにバトラって呼んでくれよな。
バトラ。
俺も君のことはカノンって呼ぶぜ。
ありがとうございます。お気持ちだけで結構です、バトラ様。
Jessica looked panicky for some reason. She seemed to think my impression of Kanon was getting worse because of his refusal. Well, as a girl, Jessica probably couldn't understand the fretful male heart at this age. As his elder, even by just 2 years, I took it upon myself to be understanding of that.
カノンさん、もう少し愛想よくはできませんか？笑顔も使用人の義務ですよ。
申し訳ありません。努力します。
郷田さん、カノン君もいろいろ頑張ってるんですよ。
It looked like he was often warned about being unsociable, and apparently he hadn't improved one bit. Goto-san kept his business smile, but let a small sigh of resignation escape.
それではまだ仕事がありますので、失礼します。
It looked like Kanon himself was uncomfortable with the remaining silent here any longer. After another perfunctory bow, he turned around and started pushing the wheelbarrow again. Just then, the wheelbarrow suddenly wobbled and fell, scattering the load. I guess the wheelbarrow's single wheel got caught in a pebble and lost its balance.
何をしてるんですか？早く片付けて。
Goto-san urged him to hurry in a quiet voice, as though hinting that it was shameful for a servant to appear clumsy in front of the guests. Kanon-kun wordlessly reloaded the wheelbarrow with the fallen objects, as if to say that he understood quite well without being told. He seemed to be fine with the light-looking gardening tools, shovels, and such, but it looked like he was having trouble getting his arms around and lifting up some sacks of fertilizer.
大丈夫かよ、そそっかしいな。ほら。
お嬢様、お召し物が汚れます。ここはお任せください。
With a smooth motion, Goto-san took the shovel that Jessica had picked up. Behind him, Kanon-kun was having trouble with the sacks of fertilizer.
お召し物が汚れる？
安心しろよ。俺が着てるのはそんなお上品なものじゃねえぜ。それによ。
I lifted up the other bags that had fallen. Of course, they weren't light, but for me, it was a piece of cake. Kanon looked at me surprised. It was the face of someone who never would have expected to receive help from a guest.
バトラ様、結構です。僕が全てやりますので。
気にすんな。こう見えても鍛え方が違うぜ。
Since Kanon-kun looked like he hadn't yet gone through his growth spurt, he was stuck with sorta a weak body. This kind of weight might have been too much for him.
結構重いね。 カノン君が苦労するのも無理はないよ。カノン君、気にしないで。
これぞ俺の見せ場さ。これでさっきの船の分はチャラだよな。
この程度のことじゃさっきの大騒ぎが帳消しになるもんかよ。カノン君にも後で教えてやるよ。バトラったら面白いんだぜ。
落ちる落ちる。
As they did this, I piled all the stuff back into the wheelbarrow.
お見苦しいところをお見せして申し訳ございませんでした。
さあもう結構ですよ。行ってください。
Letting the guests who were supposed to feel welcome see such a disgraceful thing must have been hideously embarrassing for a servant. Pressed by Goda to hurry up and go, Kanon-kun left.
ゴーダさんもいじめすぎよ。意地悪言わないで、あなたも手伝えばよかったんじゃない？
これは至りませんで、誠に申し訳ございませんでした。
Without even a twitch in his smile, Goda-san apologized elegantly.
カノン君もええところはぎょうさんあるんやで。ただ若いんかの。いろいろと損をしとる。もったいないわ。
気難しい年頃さ。そっとしといてやれよ。使用人は寡黙なくらいがちょうどいいさ。な、熊沢さん。
ルドルフ様は手厳しゅうございますこと。私ほど使用人で寡黙な者はおりませんとも。
Everyone smiled really at the obvious lie. Even she herself didn't believe that, not in her wildest dreams. So she must have said it to lighten the mood. Yeah, that's the kind of character Kumasawa Bachan used to be. The once stiff atmosphere had cleared up at once thanks to her cheerful smile.
そろそろ荷物を置きたいわね。ゴダさん、部屋割りはどうなってるのかしら。
昨年と同じになっております。さあ、ご案内いたします。どうぞこちらへ。
We headed towards a trim, elegantly simple guest house. This was going to be our temporary quarters for the night. Kanon watched over a hedge as the guests all entered the guest house. Then he let his eyes fall on those heavy sacks of fertilizer piled up in the wheelbarrow. In his mind, he kept going over his previous mistake. Butler, big and strong, had picked up the sacks in front of him. The sacks Kanon couldn't lift himself as if they were feathers. It would be extremely difficult for an outsider observer to guess what emotions that favored had stirred up in Kanon. But as far as you can tell by watching him hang his head, there was something that he couldn't let go of. Muttered words escaped his lips. But those words he murmured were so soft that they didn't even reach his own ears. Kanon hung his head, slightly biting his lower lip.
バラの庭園は記憶にあったんだけどよ。
Okay, I think we'll take a break here. That was a very long episode, right? But yeah, that was pretty good because we get to know more of the servants, right? Them making jokes, and Jessica as well we also met. But yeah, we haven't met her parents yet. We haven't seen them, but tips. Well, we got a tips. Okay, we'll check that maybe next episode. This episode is way too long already. So we got Jessica right here. Kraus and Natsui's daughter. Kraus and Natsui. Okay, we'll see them next episode, hopefully. However, she seems to have no interest in all of this. Born with a weak bronchi? And sometimes assailed by sudden asthma attacks. Oh, this will come to play. This will come to play in the story. Yeah. For sure, 100%. Kanon. Honestly, why do I feel like Kanon? Is Kanon a girl? Probably not, right? canon. I don't know. Kind of feels like it. Like maybe pretending. Then in reality she's a girl. No, but yeah, I guess he's just a he, right? He is a boy. Probably. I'm just overthinking it because like I've seen like several characters like this. Like in shows and whatever. Then it turns out the character is a girl in the end. Not in the end, but right? They showed it. But we'll see, we'll see. There are several other servants with their own characters in their pseudonyms. He and Shannon just happened to be the ones on that day. Goda. So he is a chef, okay? Since he was hired by Kraus and his wife, he is more trusted than those servants who have served the family longer and who are thought as Kinzo spies. Kinzo spies. This elderly woman is a part-timer who has served the family for a great many years despite quitting her job several times along the way. Oh, shrewd and more than competent when it comes to performing her duties, but because of her chattiness and love of rumors, she is not highly regarded as a servant. So do we get like new info as we go through the story? Or is it just like this? Like no more extra info? Maybe we'll get more info right as we go through the story. Okay, we'll remember like this length of details we're getting for each character. But yeah, nice episode. Fun episode as well. And then it became kind of creepy when we were in the boat with Maria. A little bit, just a little bit there, right? But yeah, I do wonder though, what happens in this story here? I doubt it's gonna be like Higurashi again, right? Like when they go crazy. It's probably not gonna be like that. Because if it was like that, people would say like, oh, like it's kind of redundant, right? So it's probably gonna be a little bit, it's gonna be different for sure, is what I'm saying. No craziness stuff here for sure. So yeah, we're gonna continue this and do more of Umineko When They Cry in the next one. So I'll just see you then guys, bye bye.